Bailey and Brian Matthews.
Welcome on into the Pit Pass, your personal pass for everything NASCAR. I'm Alan Bailey.
I'm Brian Matthews.
And you know what? By now, I would have thought, hey, Richmond in the rearview mirror. You would have thought that.
Yes.
But then just when you think, hey, controversy's done, it's over with,
Yeah.
more evidence of the Carl Edwards restart and the debacle.
What
I know.
now?
Just when you thought it was over, Robin Pemberton and Carl Edwards, I don't want to say they're getting into an argument, but they're getting into an argument.
I don't think Robin Pemberton's one you get in an argument with.
No.
My opinion.
No. You really don't want to. Kind of interesting, but, you know, I don't know. I don't want to call it suicide, but Carl Edwards might be on a suicide mission. Not going to exactly go the way that Carl wants it to go. But you know what? We have some other news as well. We've got good news mixed in with all this wackiness as well. Some sponsorship news for Kurt Busch there. Going to be announced later this week. We got some details on that. Plus, we're going to actually hear from a number of these drivers who are going to be racing over the weekend at Talladega. We're going to hear from Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Tony Stewart, Clint Boyer, and Martin Truex Jr., just to name a few today. Plus, we're going to take a look back at a few more things, but let's get the opening lap in.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
NASCAR Vice President of Competition says there is actually radio communication supporting the fact that Carl Edwards was second behind Tony Stewart during Saturday night's NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race, and with the restart with 81 laps remaining. Edwards argues that his spotter was told by NASCAR and a NASCAR official that he was the leader just before the restart when explaining why he was black flagged for jumping the restart. Now, Carl Edwards met with officials following the race to further argue that spotter Jason Hidesky was told by NASCAR that Carl Edwards was the leader, and that when they came into their pit box, he came out as the leader, just as the rules stated on the restart. Now, Pemberton says that it was actually a mistake by the spotter, and that they actually have audio of Carl Edwards being told he was in second.
NASCAR fans may think they're seeing double during the Sprint Cup Series race Sunday at Talladega Superspeedway. The paint scheme that is adorned the number 1 Bass Pro Shop Chevy most of the season will be shared with the Stewart-Haas Racing's Bass Pro Shop sponsored number 39 Chevy, driven by Ryan Newman for the Talladega race, as a salute to men and women across America.
Ah, very cool. Now, the number 51 Hamlin Means Racing Toyota will have driver Mike Skinner behind the wheel going forward in the 2012 Sprint Cup Series season. Skinner is scheduled to make his debut for the team in Darlington at the Borges Southern 500. The number 52 will be sponsored by Custer's Staffing at Darlington.
Josh Richards will make his nationwide series debut at Talladega Superspeedway in the number 39 Joy Ford Mustang, fielded by Go Green Racing on Saturday. Richards' Ford Mustang will also show support for the Naval Special Warfare Kids, showcasing their logo on his car to bring attention to a charity started by a Mooresville, North Carolina family.
And finally, today on Twitter, Kurt Busch posted that there will be a big sponsor announcement on Friday for Phoenix Racing, and to be on the lookout. Sources say that this is not a full-time sponsor, but a multi-race sponsor. We'll have the details as it develops. I'm Alan Bailey.
I'm Brian Matthews.
And that's your opening lap, presented by pitpass.net. Now, I want to talk about this Kurt Busch thing because I refuse to talk about Carl Edwards again. It's dead. It's over with in my mind. So let's talk about Kurt. I think it's cool that they're finding that they have a sponsor here going on.
Well, yeah. I mean, in this environment, to get anything these days is great.
Oh, absolutely. My question is this. Do you think that they directly got the sponsor because of Kurt's win in the Nationwide Series, or do you think the sponsor was attracted by just Kurt Busch overall and his overall attitude this season?
Let's just say I don't think it hurt him at all.
Yeah. Well, that's true. Now, we do have to consider this. Kurt Busch also does have a sponsorship with a sponsor deal with Monster Energy, which is on the hood of that Nationwide Series car. Now, Kurt isn't, the number 51 Chevrolet of Phoenix Racing. They're not sponsored by Monster, but rather it is Kurt Busch himself. Kurt has a personal endorsement deal with Monster as one of the quote-unquote Monster athletes, the Monster Energy Drink athletes. So, this isn't official, but this could be possibly Monster Energy signing on for a few races in the Cup Series. We've seen Monster do it before in the Cup Series. Maybe Kurt Busch is going to be driving a Monster car.
Well, I don't
soon.
think there's anything riding the coattails. If somebody's hot at that moment, they want as much exposure as they can get. I don't think we can blame Monster at all.
Oh, absolutely. And that's something that we will keep an eye on. Again, no official word as of yet. We'll keep our ears to the ground on that one. A bunch of cool stuff to talk about today. Something that I do want to bring up is Clint Bowyer, who is wearing he's going to be using a pretty cool helmet this weekend at Talladega. And I question why at Talladega, but it's kind of cool. Clint Bowyer is going to be wearing a very special helmet to honor Alabama football coach Paul Bear Bryant this weekend.
It's a great likeness of him on the back of that helmet.
Oh, absolutely. And if you want to check out a picture of this, log on to facebook.com/the Pit Pass and check it out. I think, and this is what you got to think of. This isn't, a sticker you can put on there or printing. It's a round surface. So somebody physically sat there and painted this really great likeness of him on the back of this really cool looking helmet. I think it's awesome.
Is that something he's going to donate to a foundation or have auctioned off after the race?
Not as of yet. He's doing it to really honor Paul, the coach, and really just, showing respect, more or less. So I think it's kind of cool. But, yeah, I think that if they do auction it off, they're going to get some money out of that thing. So, I question Talladega, because if there's any racetrack out there where helmets get really, really scuffed, it's Talladega. It's Talladega Daytona. Because of the high speeds and the constant, wind flowing into the car, debris gets on those helmets and they get scuffed up a little bit. So I think it's a good thing that they put this likeness on the back, because that's probably the one place of the helmet that's not going to be that scuffed.
Oh, we can hope.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. Now, we're going to take a break here. When we come back on the other side, we're going to be talking a little bit more about Talladega. We're going to get to some emails as well. So you can get your emails in now. If you email it to us now, we can hopefully get to your emails here before the end of the show. We will get to your emails here. pitpass@audio8ball.com. Get in on this conversation. What do you think is going to happen this weekend at Talladega, and your predictions as well? It's the Pit Pass right here on the world-famous audio8ball.com. Why listen to anything else?
This is NASCAR driver David Gilliland.
David Gilliland wins in Kentucky.
This is one happy crew.
You're listening to audio8ball.com.
I spent years learning to cope with mental health problems and substance addiction, and I'm proud of myself. But this world today makes me feel like I need drugs and alcohol again to cope. But then all my hard work would just go away.
Don't abuse substances to cope. Get information and treatment referral at 1-800-662-HELP.
you up after school. Okay, I got it.
It's easy to take a day for granted. You and your family are connected by routine, and you stick to it. But what if a disaster strikes without warning? What if life as you know it has completely turned on its head? What if your day's routine is disrupted and you can't reach your family? Have you planned for that? Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed. Today, learn how at www.ready.gov. Ready.gov. This message brought to you by the Federal Emergency Management Agency and the Ad Council.
The world famous audio8ball.com. The world famous audio8ball.com. Why listen to anything else?
Yeah, it was actually my idea about the helmet. I always have icons on the back of my helmets. Had, Smokey Eunuch was been on my helmet all year long, and trying to think of something to do with Alabama, it was only fitting to have Bear Bryant on the back of it. So it's a pretty cool helmet that Nick Pastor painted for me. Looking forward to getting down there, hopefully having the same success we've had over the last couple of years. Talladega's definitely been good to me, had a lot of fun there, and man, I can't think of anything bigger than winning in Talladega, Alabama in the Alabama car.
That's Clint Boyer right there, talking about this really cool helmet that they're racing with this weekend at Talladega. It's all hit. You like how he just stood up and said, "It's my idea. It was my idea. It's all me. It was all me." I thought that was kind of cool. It was Clint Boyer right there. Welcome back to the Pit Pass, your personal pass for everything NASCAR. I'm Alan Bailey.
I'm Brian Matthews.
And today we're talking about Talladega. We're gonna touch on Richmond un poquito, just a little bit. Just a little. We're not going to talk a whole lot about this Carl Edwards thing because, frankly, we're sick of it. It's getting very old very quick. Really it is. But you know what? It's kind of a hot-button topic right now. Robin Pemberton, if you're just joining us, came out and said, hey, we have audio proof that Edwards knew he was in second. For some reason, the spotter, though, communicated something different to him while they were riding under caution. So kind of an interesting situation there. But, we all saw what happened, obviously. Now, can we please just put it to bed?
I think Carlos Cecil let go and move on. But
that's what I'm saying.
That's my opinion.
But you know what? These drivers, they're like elephants. They have memories of elephants because they'll be driving along and, oh, yeah, I'm over that. I don't care. But you know what? 2, 3, 10 years from now, Carl might pick up a win at Richmond again. And you know what he's going to say? I remember when I jumped the restart and, NASCAR made me get black flag, and it's good to get a win here again.
Yeah.
It'll come up again, whether it's a year from now, whether it's later on this season, whether it's 10 years from now. We're not done with this, I don't think. I don't think we ever will be, but who knows? Now, want to go back and talk about Talladega here a little bit, but I actually want to talk about something that really, it blows me away. It really does. Mr. Brian Matthews.
Yes.
Do you know what the iRacing series is?
The iRacing?
Yes.
No. I know what IROC, the old IROC series.
Yeah, this is...
At the International Race of Champions, so they put them all in the same car and let them run.
Yeah, and this is not similar at all to it.
Oh, okay.
Something that NASCAR did, and I applaud them for doing this. iRacing basically is more or less computer racing, sim racing. So basically video games, but NASCAR has induced this. They basically have 200. They actually run the races the week after the the actual race itself in the Sprint Cup Series. So essentially, it's like the Sprint Cup Series in the computer.
Okay, like Fantasy League.
Exactly, and your average Joes can participate in this. It doesn't cost a whole lot to get into. All you really need is one of them steering wheel things that you put on your computer, about $100, and the actual software that you can download from the NASCAR site.
And how much is that?
You got to pay per month for it to be involved in these races.
Okay.
So somebody told me it's $20 a month and up, depending on what you're getting and where you're racing and all that stuff. But no, we got to, send our congratulations out to Steve Sheen, who won the Richmond race in the IROC Racing Series. And I got to tell you, I never thought I would actually be reporting on a virtual race. I think that this shows you where this society is going. We're going into the computers. We're racing virtually now. The NASCAR iRacing.com World Championship Series actually is a real thing. They have actual races every single week. You can watch these actually online as if it were a regular race. They race at all the NASCAR sanctioned racetracks, and they have a full schedule. Now, looking at their schedule, their next race is set to take place on May 15th/16th, depending on what part of the world you're in. That night. It's going to be taking place at Darlington, believe it or not. The race after that's going to be on May 30th, May 29th at Charlotte. They are 6 races in. And I got to tell you, it's a 17-race schedule. It's got some pretty good tracks on there. You got Daytona, Phoenix, Las Vegas, Texas, Pocono, Kentucky. You got Indianapolis, Michigan, Atlanta, Chicago, and Homestead. So pretty good races. They're pretty good race tracks. And these are not, here's 50 laps. It's 200, 300, 400. They're actual races. So I think it's kind of cool. I haven't had a chance to watch a full race start to finish virtually, but I'm pretty sure it's online somewhere.
I'm sure.
You can log on to NASCAR.com, and you can find a lot more. It takes place basically 9 p.m. Eastern Tuesday. 50 racers, and there's actually some people that make their living off this.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious. People can sign sponsors. You get to design your own paint scheme, but
wow.
They make their living, and it makes a whole lot of sense because you figure, hey, I charge you X amount of dollars to sponsor my car. If they wreck the thing, they don't got to go back and pay for it.
Yeah.
They really don't. What are they going to do? So where does that money go? Right into their pocket. There you go. So some people do. They make a pretty decent living off this. Now, want to take a look back at, I know I'm going to get you groaning here, but we're going to take a look back at Richmond. After this, I swear, we're done. I want to hear anything about it.
Okay.
It's Wednesday here, for crying out loud. Teams are already on their way to Talladega. Richmond's in the rearview mirror, in my mind. So with that, let's go ahead and put this to bed. Check out the sounds of Richmond.
Welcome to Richmond International Raceway in Virginia. Drivers are climbing into their cars, parked along the pit lane, getting set for the command to fire engines.
Everybody, stay warm in there, have some fun. Simple. No matter what happens here, the first part of the race will adapt. We'll be real good. And let's just have some fun.
Pace car makes the sharp left turn to pit road. Short track Saturday night.
Green flag goes in the air, and we are underway in the Capital City 400.
Mark Martin jumps away into the lead off turn 2.
Give it up real bad. 10-4. 99 is a P2. You run an 80, he run a 68.
Right now they're side by side for the lead.
New leader in Richmond, it's Carl Edwards to the front of the pack.
Doing good, bud. Keep it up. Every lap spin quicker.
Carl Edwards, he has checked out.
Oh, trouble down here, guys. Kurt Busch got into the back of Jeff Gordon way up the racetrack.
Just here to give me at least a little bit of room there. Yep.
Kevin Harvick battling through lap traffic, just got together hard with Dave Blaney.
Inside, 4 laps down here. Inside, 4 laps down. Shut up, Billy.
Trouble in turn number 3. Jeff Burke, right front tire down.
Something happened. Hit the wall. It wouldn't turn. I do not know what happened. All right, buddy, coming to the green. Official told both of us, yes, we're the leader. You're the leader, Carl. You're the leader. It's showing now. Ready, green. Bottom stacking up.
Uh-oh, Stewart doesn't go.
Man, what a takeoff. Carl Edwards, he gets away.
Post to 99. Jumping to restart.
They gave us a black flag there. They said we jumped the start. He buzzed his tires. The official up here told us we were the leaders. Well, what was the black flag for?
They said you jumped the restart.
No, I didn't start any different than I've been starting all night, guys, so that's very frustrating.
Put it out. Put it out. Brand new.
I got the best driver in the business holding that steering wheel. That's all I need.
Kyle Busch trying to take the lead from Tony Stewart.
Kyle Busch is driving away, has a 5-car length lead on Dale Earnhardt Jr.
What up, boys? We back. Victory lane in Richmond, boys.
Tonight it's Kyle picking up his first win of the 2012 season.
Hell to the yeah. That's what I'm talking about, guys. Thank you. Nice work. Good job, Rogers.
Good job, Kyle Busch. I'm so proud of you for the Kyle Busch weekend, man. Couldn't be more prouder to work for you. Thank you so much for this privilege.
Kyle Busch picking up the win at Richmond over the weekend in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. And you would think, hey, that's it. We're done talking about Richmond. And with that, we are.
Great.
Not going back to Richmond. Not going to be, well, we're going back to Richmond, but we're not going to be talking about the Carl Edwards situation. The only thing I want to talk about right now involving Richmond at all, Dale Earnhardt Jr. He had a really good run. He was keeping his nose clean all night long, just kind of there. He had kind of that Matt Kenseth feel in 2003 when he was just kind of, hanging out near the back, was
lurking
there. Exactly. He was just lurking, not really doing a whole lot, and then all of a sudden he's in the top 5, and he's second and challenging Kyle Busch for the win. Now, he didn't get the win, obviously, but at the same time, he was up near the front. He was a contender.
And the thing that we've talked about him all year is this is probably the most consistent year that Dale Jr. has had within recent memory.
Absolutely. And that's what wins championships. We said it yesterday on the program. You go back through history. It's been, I always use Matt Kenseth in 2003 because that basically created the chase. He was qualifying poorly. Started with a DNF, I think, 20-something times that season, 30th, 37th, somewhere in there. He started with a DNF, methodically worked his way through the field every single week. By halfway point of the race, he was in the top 10 and stayed there. Finished 7th, 8th, 9th, 6th, always just inside that top 10, not making a whole lot of noise. And because of that, he clinched the title with 2 races remaining. It's possible. Yeah. And then the year after that, NASCAR kind of went, we need a chase. We need playoffs. And, the chase came out of it, which is a whole nother can of worms. We're not getting into that. But what it basically did was it showed that, consistency wasn't important. That was the idea of the chase. But guess what? In the chase, you have to be consistent. Now, Tony Stewart consistently winning in the chase. Yeah, I credit that to consistency. He was consistently running in the top 5 and winning. That's what won him the title. Carl Edwards was in the top 10 almost every single week. Had a few bad runs, but was in the top 10 and in the top 5. But guess what? He didn't win. Tony Stewart did. Therefore, he walked away with the title. That was the major difference. Now, really, what does this mean long term? Do you think that, well, first off, I'll put it this way. Are you happy with the chase as it is right now?
Yeah, I don't think it needs to be tweaked. I mean, it's been very thought out. The methodology is there. Basically, the higher you place, the more points you get. The lower you place, the least amount of points you get. So as far as the way I think it's great.
Do you think that NASCAR's doing it the right way with the 12-man, or do you think it needs to be 10 or 5 or
I think eventually they're going to go with more drivers just to make it more exciting. I know they're using 12 now, but I don't see them cutting it back to 9 or to 5 or to 7. If anything, I see it going the other way. They can get more drivers qualified for the chase to bring the fans into it even deeper.
Here's my thing. I like the 12. I think that's a good round number. Here's my thing, though. 10 races, that's too long, in my opinion, for the playoffs, if that's what you want to call it, or for the chase. I think that NASCAR needs to back it down 5 races. Because, frankly, you look at the history of every single chase race, the first 2 races, the cream kind of rises to the top there. it's one set of drivers that does really well.
Mm-hmm.
And then right around race 3 or 4, right around midpoint, it's another set of drivers that kind of gets hot.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no, I'm not saying we need to hand this chase to somebody who doesn't deserve it. I'm saying that if you're being consistent throughout those last 10 races, that's great. But if you want to have that really close points finish, maybe 10 races is too long.
Well, we'll see. But, I know that NASCAR is contractually obligated to Sprint to do exactly what they're doing, and they really can't change a whole heck of a lot without the blessing from their major sponsor. So we'll just have
that's
to see.
exactly it. And you know what? Somebody asked me this, a while back. Why did NASCAR create a chase? Was it to make it a more of exciting finish, or was it to for another reason? And listen, we can sit here all day and say, "Oh, it makes it more competitive at the end." Yeah, that's what NASCAR is preaching, but in all honesty, it was for one reason and one reason only: to compete with football.
Mm-hmm.
You ever notice how the start of the chase always happens right around the time that the football season starts? You think that's a coincidence?
Well, but I think, with any competing sport, golf up until 2 or 3 years ago did not have a playoff system. Now they've got the FedEx Cup.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, like anything else, everybody wants to see some big climactic finish. And how do you do it unless you do have it set up the way it is?
Well, on that note, I'll go ahead and tell you, I want to go back to 1992. That was a heck of a good finish to the championship. You had 3 guys who were all mathematically capable of winning that title. 2 guys didn't win it. Alan Kulwicki ended up winning it by a very, very, very slim margin. 2 or 3 positions on the racetrack is what the difference was. And the guy who finished second in that championship battle won the race. So, I think that you can have those exciting finishes in the title.
But Alan, you're going back 20 years.
Yeah.
There's a long time between 1992 and 2012 in the way that NASCAR runs their business.
Yeah, but
they're not going to regress from what they did 20 years ago. I just don't see it.
I'll give you that, but let me give you another example. Go to 2002. 10 years ago, granted, but still. You had a really good championship battle going on. It was Sterling Marlin who was leading the points for most of the season. Looked like he was going to wrap up the title. Easy win for Sterling. And then he gets hurt. And he can't compete in the last 7 or 8 races, basically ending his title hopes. That made that title really, really close. Tony Stewart ended up winning that one. But I think that it all depends on circumstances and who's running well that season. I don't think it has anything to do with, resetting points or giving more points to any other driver or how many races are in the chase or how many drivers are in the chase. I don't think that has anything to do with it at all. I think what it has to do with is which 2, 3, 4, however many drivers are competitive that season and how they're having a good season. Now, Carl Edwards, he had what I call a 2003 Matt Kenseth season, where he was consistent all season long. Tony Stewart, frankly, did not have a championship season last year, but then those last 10 races, he turned up the heat, won 5 of the races. That, I don't think was a championship season. It clearly was, but he wasn't consistent all season long. He was just kind of there. He himself said he was junk and that he didn't deserve to be in the chase. Then he got in the chase, won all those races, and went on to win it. Not saying he didn't deserve it. I think purely based off of the run at Homestead, he deserved that championship and deserves that championship. But I think that consistency needs to be more part of the equation here, and not just in those last 10 races.
Well, but we are looking at, if we're going to go back, we are looking at consistency.
Mm-hmm.
Look what Dale Jr.'s done. Look what Harvick's done. Look what Carl Edwards has done. Look what Denny Hamlin's done this year.
Yeah.
Look at Matt Kent. We're not talking about 1 or 2 or 3 drivers having a good year. We now have dozens of drivers that are having good years with ownership and the cars that we have today. So, even though you're saying, yeah, it's not a championship season, who's to say it's not a championship season if that's the way it's set up?
I'll give you that because, that's the other example that I left out. Denny Hamlin a few seasons ago, he won 8 races.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't win the championship.
No, because he had too many DNFs.
Yeah, he was having issues.
Kevin Harvick, same thing.
Exactly. So I think that, again, it's the scenario. It's basically, the racing gods, what they're doing that season. You go to the first chase back in 2004, Kurt Busch won it by a very slim margin. A very slim margin. And you look at the incident that happened at Homestead during that last race with, the tire that literally came off the car and onto pit road.
Mm-hmm.
That was an act of the racing gods. NASCAR couldn't have scripted that better if they tried. Even if they had a group of 10 mad scientists in a lab somewhere concocting the perfect chase recipe, they couldn't have come up with a better finish for that championship season. They really couldn't have. And it's all about the scenario and about what's going on with those drivers that season. And it ultimately boils down to not how well the car is handling, not how well the team's working together, not how well the pit stops are, not how well anything else is. It all depends on what's going on with that driver at that point in the race. That's what it comes down to.
But it's a consistency at the front end of the season that gives them the opportunity to have the consistency at the end of the year. You cannot go into the final 10 races of the year and think that you're just going to blow everybody away when you haven't done anything the entire season. Now, if you win some races early, you don't have any DNFs, you score high enough, you're going to have a really good year regardless.
Mm-hmm.
But, you've got to have that consistency again at the start to achieve what you want at the finish.
Absolutely. And that's something that we have to keep in mind as well. We need to take a break here, but on that note, I agree with you. I hate it when crew chiefs and when drivers are pushing around and walking around in the garage area in the first 10 races, and they go, oh, well, points don't really matter right now. What? What? Are you kidding me? What?
Yeah, tell Richard Childress, tell Rick Hendrick, tell Joe Gibbs. Oh, by the way, the points at the start of that, they really don't mean a whole lot.
The first 20.
You don't need to compete. Don't you know what I mean? If you want to run a B engine in the car just to get out there and run around, you want to do some testing during the front end of the season, you're more than welcome.
Yeah, you know what? The first 10, 20 races of the season, don't even worry. Nah, that doesn't matter. No, you just turn up the heat in the last 10 races.
In fact, disqualify.
Yeah, exactly.
Disqualify the car, take 2 laps and come in and move the hauler to your next venue.
Exactly. Now, I think it's funny that the guys who are in the top 5 and the top 10 are saying that. You talk to a guy who's borderline in 35th in the points right now. Points are very important right now.
Mm-hmm.
You talk to David Runeman, heck, points are his life right now.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Gordon, who's outside the top 20 right now in points, he's thinking about points every single day. He wants to be in the top 10. He wants to be in the chase, and right now, doesn't look like he's going to make it unless he starts turning up the heat here soon.
Don't count Jeff out.
I'm not going to count him out, but if, something doesn't happen here in the next 5-6 weeks, maybe I will, depending on, what's going on. Now, need to take a break, a little late, but stay with us. It's the Pit Pass right here on the world-famous audio8ball.com.
I'm American-made, but a large Chevrolet. My mama taught me wrong from right. I was born in the South. Sometimes I have a big mouth when I see something that I don't like. I gotta say it. We've been driving this road for a mighty long time, paying no mind to the signs. Well, this neighborhood's changed, it's all been rearranged. We left that team somewhere behind. Slow down, we're gonna crash. Radio is screaming, it's a blast, blast, blast. And look out, baby, you got your blinders on. Everybody's looking for a way to get real gone, real gone, real gone. There's a new cat in town, he's got high-paid friends. Thinks he's gonna change history. You think you know him so well,
Chicagoland Speedway.
Hey, this is Joey Logano, driver number 20 Home Depot Toyota. You're listening to audio8ball.com.
What is one NASCAR Unites wristband capable of doing? It can inspire a child to go farther in school. It can construct a brand new playground for kids who've never had one. It can introduce a child with a serious illness to his or her favorite NASCAR driver.
I'm Tony Stewart, and I wear my band to Unite for Kids. Band together with me by logging on to www.nascar.com/unites to pledge your support.
Hello, car of teenagers. If you don't mind, I'm only going to broadcast this out of the speaker on the passenger side so we can talk without the driver listening in. Okay, now that we're alone, we can talk about your friend's driving. It's okay, he can't hear us. Now, I'd never say this to his face, but he might be the worst driver in the history of the world. You should say something witty. Make a joke about the airbag or something. Hearses are funny, too. You could make a joke about hearses. I better say something to the driver real quick so he doesn't get suspicious that we're talking about him. Still talking to the passenger. Not about you at all. Just going to be one more minute. He is totally going to get you killed.
Find other interesting ways to speak up against reckless driving by visiting our website at speakuporelse.com. Because it doesn't matter what you say, just say something. Brought to you by the Ad Council and speakuporelse.com.
There comes a time in every man's life when he has to say, you know what? I don't care.
audio8ball.com.
And burn, just wait till your turn. You might have time to speak. There barely was a lesson learned, 'cause it will return no favors back to me. I'm sure it tasted oh so sweet, but it was never good enough for me. I bit the tongue behind my teeth. It was never good enough for me. You say you always keep your word. Show me what you're after. I thought you promised me the world. Tell me what you're after. Go on and take it way too far. 'Cause here we are, waiting once again. You say you always keep your word. Show me what you're after, just a little faster. Are mine the only eyes that see so steadily this cut and dry routine? Even when you're by my side.
Welcome back to the Pit Pass, your personal pass for everything NASCAR. I'm Alan Bailey.
I'm Brian Matthews.
And we are not talking about Richmond. Richmond is dead.
Yes.
Not literally, but in our minds.
Finally.
That race is gone. It's
gone.
That race was
done.
Felt like a year ago.
Done.
God. We're talking about Talladega.
It's over.
Basically. So
that's on.
Want to get to some emails here. You can get in on this conversation. pitpass@audio8ball.com. We kind of went on a little mini rant right there about basically the chase. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Let us know. pitpass@audio8ball.com. You can also get us on Facebook and Twitter. Keyword search the Pit Pass. Now, I got an email here from Ashley in North Carolina.
Hey, Ash.
Hey. It basically reads, what will the winning driver have to do on Sunday in order to win in Talladega?
Finish the race. That's pretty basic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ash, I hope I answered that thoroughly for you. Finish the race.
Well, hang on. We need to be more accurate. Finish the race first.
Finish the race first.
No, in all honesty, Ashley, I think obviously a big point is you're going to have to watch the temperature. You know, it's going to be pretty hot in Talladega.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting into May here.
We're going to be talking about those cars getting hot.
Exactly. You got to keep your nose clean. You can't exactly hook on the back bumper of a car and stay there for 10 laps plus. You overheat the engine. And when you overheat the engine, you rob it of power. You actually damage the engine. That's irreversible.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, okay, I overheated it. I can wait 10 laps and do it again.
No,
you lose power. You're not going to be able to make that slingshot pass at the end of the race that's going to get you the win. So keep your nose clean and in fresh air. That's going to be a major point of this one. Obviously, you got to watch out for the big one. It's always a thing when we go to Talladega and Daytona. But this weekend, you're going to have to find a dance partner. The 2 tandem racing is gone, but you're going to have to find somebody who you can work with and who understands not only your driving skills and your style of driving, I should say, but will also understand, hey, his car can only be tucked behind mine for 5 laps before he really starts to feel the pressure and feel the heat, or hey, vice versa. There's going to be a whole lot of swapping going on, and with this swapping, you're really going to have to rely on your spotter.
Well, you're going to have to, racing this weekend is going to bring some very odd bedfellows, if you will.
Bedfellows.
Bedfellows. Well, I mean, you're going to have to find somebody to draft with that you typically don't draft with if you're going to be successful.
Yeah.
You've got to be in a good mood for everybody, and they've got to be in a good mood for you, because if not, you're not going to go anywhere.
I think that something we're all going to have to watch out for this weekend, not as fans, not as drivers, is a few races ago, restrictor plate races ago, something that Ford did was said, hey, we don't want Ford drivers drafting with other, Chevy guys and Dodge guys and Toyotas. We want Ford with Ford. Now, are we going to see that again this weekend? We might.
We may not.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's going to be up to the driver. I mean, let's just say that for one reason or another, the Ford setup isn't as good as the Chevy setup. I don't care who you are. If you're driving that Ford and you want to win, you're going to draft behind a Chevy or a Dodge.
Yeah, and you need an example of that. Look at what happened with Trevor Bayne and Jeff Gordon a few races ago at Talladega. Jeff Gordon and Trevor Bayne, bumper to bumper, looked like they were coming to the front. Trevor Bayne got his calling orders from the up-and-ups at Ford. Hey, don't be drafting with that Chevy. I don't care if he's your friend. I don't care if it's your mother. You draft with a Ford. And by the time Trevor Bayne jumped back in line and found a Ford, they realized that, hey, when these Fords get together, when my Ford and this other guy's Ford get together, they don't exactly go as fast as I did with Jeff Gordon. Not saying that's a knock on Ford, not saying that's a knock on Chevy being faster, just some cars work better with other cars depending on the driver, on the aerodynamic setups, or whatever. It could be anything. Just some cars work better with other cars for whatever reason. It's just how things work. And that's something that it bit Trevor Bayne and Jeff Gordon a few races ago on the restrictor plates. It could bite somebody this Sunday. We don't know. We're going to have to keep an eye on that. Now, another email here, it reads, with the heat over the weekend, do you guys think that NASCAR will make changes in the car, and what will they be? That's from George in California. Do you think that NASCAR is going to make any changes with the heat and with these cars getting too hot? I think that's what he's referring to.
Well, as far as the heat, when they had a problem earlier, they changed the radiator caps and the pressure inside the car, which seemed to help the cooling process a little bit. I don't know at this late date what else they would do 4 days before the race.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I don't see NASCAR going, okay, rip the ductwork out and redo it. They're not going to do something like that. I think that if we do see a change with these cars from a technical aspect, I agree with you. I think that it's going to be, hey, change the pressure or change this little setting that can be done in 2 seconds. And that, that PSI difference that you talked about just now, that made a whole heck of a lot of difference. It made the difference between a driver being tucked up. I think one driver said last time that the difference with just the PSI difference, it made the difference that a driver could actually bump draft for another 4 laps without overheating. That's a lot.
It's a lot.
When you consider that this is a 2.5-mile racetrack, 4 laps, that's a lot. So, I mean, NASCAR could make a change like that, George, but I don't really think that it's something that I expect to see. I think that NASCAR already has planned for the heat. And frankly, not saying that NASCAR is inconsiderate, but unless it's 100+ degrees, NASCAR's not going to make a considerable change, frankly. So, got another email here. It reads, is NASCAR letting drivers talk to other drivers anymore? From Jeff in Tennessee. Plain and simple, no.
They did that originally when they were doing the tandem drafting. They opened it up, and then you could tell as they got around to the second year, they kind of curtailed who you could talk to. And now it's all gone.
Exactly, and that's the thing is these drivers, they used to be able to do that when they did the tandem drafting. Fans cried out and said it was boring racing. I liked it.
I did too.
I thought it was cool. I thought it was actually safer as well. Maybe that's why I liked it. I don't know. But that was the thing, is NASCAR said it was okay at first, and then all that was going on, so they said, no, you can't talk to other drivers. I liked it and I like the fact that drivers can't do that because, instead of focusing on driving your race car and being aware of what's going on the racetrack around you, they're fuddling over here on the button. Hey, I want to talk to this guy, but I got to type it in. It just creates another issue. It's like, a driver texting, literally worrying about communicating with somebody else. Sounds a lot like texting to me when he's driving. So I'm glad that we don't have that anymore. Now, these drivers can communicate with their crew chiefs, and through that, other drivers.
And through their spotters.
Exactly. And through that, they communicate with other drivers, which is how it's been done for
forever.
10 jillion years in NASCAR, practically. So there you go. Got another... Do we have time? We do not have time, actually. We're running a little bit tight here. So we need to take a break here. When we come back, we'll have a few more emails before the show wraps up and talk about what we're doing tomorrow on the Pit Pass. Stay with us right here on audio8ball.com. Why listen to anything else?
This is NASCAR driver David Gilliland.
David Gilliland wins in Kentucky.
This is one happy crew. You're listening to Pit Pass on audio8ball.com.
What is one NASCAR Unites wristband capable of doing? It can inspire a child to go farther in school. It can construct a brand new playground for kids who've never had one. It can introduce a child with a serious illness to his or her favorite NASCAR driver.
I'm Tony Stewart. I wear my band to Unite for Kids. Band together with me by logging on to www.nascar.com/unites to pledge your support.
Lobster, harvested from the cold, clear waters of Maine, is truly the world's ultimate white meat. It has a distinctive flavor that's both mild and slightly sweet. Simply elegant or elegantly simple. It is easy to prepare. This versatile food can be steamed, boiled, baked, grilled, or stir-fried, and is equally delicious in appetizers, soups, salads, pasta dishes, and sandwiches. Maine lobster tastes great and is good for you, too. It is one of the healthiest and leanest proteins available, containing less fats, calories, and cholesterol than beef, pork, or even the light meat of chicken. Maine lobster contains 0.1 gram of omega-3 fatty acids per serving, which may reduce blood clotting and decrease the risk of heart attack. For exciting Maine lobster recipes and tips on cooking and storing, visit our website at mainelobsterpromo.com. Lobster from Maine, convenient, delicious, and nutritious. A message from the Maine Lobster Promotion Council.
This is a top to what we use on stage, but it's very, very special because if you can see, the numbers all go to 11. One louder.
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
This is audio8ball.com.
She's real fine, my 409. She's real fine, my 409, my 409. Well, I saved my pennies and I saved my dimes. Giddy up, 409. For I knew there would be a time. Giddy up, 409. When I would buy a brand new 409. Giddy up, 409. Giddy up, 409. Giddy up, 409. Giddy up, 409. Nothing can catch her, nothing can touch my 409. 409. Ooh, giddy up, giddy up. Ooh, giddy up, giddy up. Ooh, giddy up.
Do not adjust your set. There are going to be 2 Bass Pro Chevrolets on the racetrack this weekend, as you're going to have the number 1 of Jamie McMurray and the number 39 Chevrolet of Ryan Newman on track. And if you want to check out this paint scheme, it's essentially, Jamie McMurray's paint scheme, except with a 39 on the side. Go ahead and log on to facebook.com/the Pit Pass. Check out that cool shot of the number 39 Chevrolet. Ryan Newman actually posted that, a few hours ago. It's kind of a cool car. It really is. So, yeah. Welcome back to the Pit Pass, your personal pass for everything NASCAR. I'm Alan Bailey.
I'm Brian Matthews.
And we're talking about Talladega. It's causing kind of an interesting flow of emails coming in at the Pit Pass at audio8ball.com. You can get in on this conversation as well. Now, our next email here, it reads, would heat races work for NASCAR? That's from Short Tracker 69. So,
why?
Yeah, I agree.
I think that's the key question. Why?
I think. Let me put it this way. I don't think that the top 35 would benefit from it at all. Mm-hmm. They really wouldn't. If there's one group that it would help, it's those guys who are trying to make the race who are outside the top 35. Maybe I could see a 10-lap heat race for them, but frankly, those teams are already, stretched pretty thin dollar-wise, and really adding another race on for them, it would hurt them more than anything.
And let's face it, it's not broken right now, so let's not try to fix anything we don't have to.
Exactly. Now, if you would have asked us, 5-10 years ago, the heat races would have been great. But now NASCAR's adjust their qualifying system. Now the guys who are outside the top 35 are the first guys who go out there, and they all qualify roughly in the same time. Mm-hmm. And there's no one team that has a competitive advantage or anything like that. So I think it actually helps this new system. I personally think it's better than heat races because you lay it all on the line. You get 2 laps. Most guys don't take 2 laps nowadays, but, that option's there. So I think that today's system works great. I don't think heat races would be good for the sport, really. Got another email here at pitpass@audio8ball.com. It reads, will NASCAR ever change the super speedways so we don't need restrictor plates? That's from Frank.
I don't think it's the tracks. I think it's the cars. If you're gonna, I don't think you're gonna see any. Obviously we're seeing some adjustments to the tracks now. We've seen, the banking going away at Bristol and new surfaces here and there. But I don't see him doing anything to the tracks to make them any different.
No, if you look at Daytona and Talladega, they both have been resurfaced within the last 5 years here, and
one alternative if you want to get away from the restrictor plate. Why don't you run the same engine that you run in the Nationwide Series, in the Sprint Cup Series? You're going to have a lag, quite a bit of lag, actually. But I don't know. Maybe that's the answer if there is an answer.
I don't know if that is the answer because you look at those Nationwide cars, they're still using restrictor plates, and they're still, racing like they're on a restrictor plate racetrack. So I don't think that NASCAR will ever change these super speedways. And no, they're not going to go to Talladega after this weekend and simply bulldoze the corners. Mm-hmm. That's never going to happen. No, I don't think that will ever happen in NASCAR. We've, being very frank here and getting a little dark here, we've seen people seriously get injured at Talladega and Daytona before because of the high speeds and because of the danger at these racetracks. And that hasn't stopped NASCAR. What NASCAR did, instead of taking to the tracks and changing everything, they made the cars safer. Mm-hmm. So I don't think we're ever going to see Daytona and Talladega, A, go away, and B, be changed.
If you want to see, if there's going to be anything served, the new Indy cars are hitting up into 240, 200 260 miles per hour. I'm really curious to see how they start dealing with their speeds being 20 and 30 miles per hour faster than they used to be. And if anything, maybe that would be a gauge for NASCAR, where if the wings on the open wheels can stay down, maybe they'll look at that, and maybe they'll look at getting rid of the restrictor plate,
Sure.
or at least doing something else. But for them to just go out and do it, there's no reason at this point.
I think, as far as slowing these cars down, I think you can do just about anything aerodynamically. You could have these guys literally drive around with, a 10-foot, sheet of aluminum on the roof of every single race car, just straight up, in order to slow these cars down aerodynamically. Guess what? They'll still go close to 200 mile an hour.
Sure.
It's not the cars. It's the fact that, it's simple physics, more or less, with these racetracks.
Well,
So-
and the engineering today is just incredible.
Oh, absolutely. These cars are better than they've ever been. The quality of these cars are phenomenal.
And that's in every respect. I mean, that starts at the engine, to the transmission, to the Hans device, to the rear spoiler. Everything about these cars right now is probably the best that they've ever been, both safe and speed.
Exactly. And I want to get one more email here before the end of the show. This is from Billy in South Dakota.
Billy!
And it reads, let's take the restrictor plates off and see how the racing would be. I think it would be a great idea just once. How bad could it be?
It could be really bad.
It could be super bad. I mean, we've seen cars do Goodyear tire tests without restrictor plates at Daytona and Talladega, and speeds were up near 250 miles per hour with one car on the track. Can you imagine what would happen? With 43 at 250 miles an hour? I mean, drivers have done, when they do those runs, they're literally shaking when they get out of the car and they go, I'm not doing that again. I mean, it's a comfort level, but it's scary going that fast. It really is. These guys, some drivers don't even breathe. They hold their breath literally at Daytona and Talladega when they're in the pack sometimes. And, 6 laps goes by. You get that going on. What would happen if these guys were in a pack without, restrictor plates? Well, that pack would be a little bit more spread out. But frankly, these cars would be bump drafting at 250 miles per hour plus. And frankly, when you get about 10 of these cars together at 250, well, when they get together due to drafting, they'll go a little faster than that. They'll be up near 280. Are you kidding me? That would be insane. That would be almost, it'd be like handing a gun to a 6-year-old. You know it's going to be bad, and it's going to make the news. No, that's just not a great idea. Don't do that. So, I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, we're going to be back on the air tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow's our Friday.
Tomorrow is our Friday. We're going to be back 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 Eastern, right here on the world-famous audio8ball.com. Want to remind you, if you're at Mount San Antonio College, if you're in the area, check out the Cinco de Mayo Festival going on. Actually, it's going to be starting right now, lasting until 9 p.m. here. Audio8ball.com and 90.1 Mount Rock are out there playing some music, having a little fun. There's going to be food, festivals, singing, live mariachi, you name it. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think I'm going to go out there and grab a taco.
I'm on my way up. Tamales.
Oh, yeah.
Tamales.
Oh, yeah. We're going to go check that out in just a little bit. Now, check out tomorrow morning, Brian Matthews and everybody on the Morning Climb. That's tomorrow at 8 a.m. Pacific on the all-new 90.1 FM Mount Rock and MountRockRadio.com, our sister station. Now, for everyone here at Audio8ball.com and the Pit Pass, I'm Alan Bailey.
I'm Brian Matthews.
We'll see you at the track.
So long, everybody.
We're going head
www.audio8ball.com. Broadcasting live from a dumpy little building at Mount San Antonio College.